Hello, you have arrived at valet service. I'm your girl Fast Pitch, your mental concierge of podcasts. And we're going to talk about society, sex, and common sense. So sit back and let me park you right where you need to be. What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Fast Pitch, and you are tuned in to another episode of Valet Service here on the Next Hot Single Radio. Now, as promised and as I've been promoting today, we have the pleasure of having the official Grandmaster J in studios this evening. The last time that we spoke was pre-Louisville formation. There's so much that has transpired and happened since then. And because we had a few technical difficulties the first time, because he is the most interrupted person on social media, I believe, at this point, he was gracious enough to come down and, set the record straight on some things and give his perspective on some things about how the Nfac is being viewed in media and black media, the influence that he's having globally, and just your thoughts on the black militia, period. So without further ado, I am going to turn the show over to Grandmaster J. Shalom, sir.
Shalom, my sister. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm still black.
That's right.
And won't wash off, and that's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
Let me get my mic right here. First of all, I'm glad to be back here. I'm glad that we could sit down again and have another dialogue. Because I know that the audience is global. Yep. It's not just folks in your neck of the woods. It's not just folks in the United States. There are folks around the world that have joined in with the movement. I call it a movement because movement consists of action. Movement is not just singing and holding hands and saying that everything's going to be okay. No, a movement goes from one place to another, and when we're done, it should look differently. So we have moved everything on the chessboard, and it looks like the consensus is that melanated people around the world, no matter what type of oppression, depression, or systematic racism they're facing, we're tired. And now we're tired of talking about it. We're ready to be about it, and that's one of the reasons why the Nfac and the entire pro-black Pan-African movement and all of the other movements that have come into alignment have all agreed that we're on one accord. And that's what you're seeing. So I'm glad to be here to talk to you, talk to your audience. We're on the other side of Louisville. We're on the countdown clock.
I know.
We are we're watching and waiting. There are things happening that we can talk about a little later, but I'm still in your area because Louisville needs to stay close to us. And
that's across the river.
Across the river. And the Nfac is, we want to make sure that we can get to them real quick.
That's right. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Keep your eyes on Bree. All eyes on Bree.
All eyes on Bree.
So that's the phrase that you clone. So for those of you who don't know, a lot of people do know, I actually was able to make it to the formation in Louisville. And I had to, my person, I got to see for myself, right? So I'm listening, I'm on the morning mentals, I'm listening. I'm like, okay. But let me see for myself, really. So I go down to Louisville. And the first feeling that came over me was, I don't know if it was pride or if it was security first. Maybe they came together. It was one of the most proud moments that I've had as a black woman in almost my 50 years on this earth. And I can say that because I was there. It's not something I read in a book. It's not something somebody told me or that I saw live streamed. I was there. And so I think that a lot of the really impactful moments were happening on the sidelines. The black Vietnam veterans that were there just playing the back, just making sure everything was everything, dropping knowledge to the young people that wanted to listen and that were yearning for the knowledge. The elderly woman that I saw, She was in her 80s, almost 90 years old, and her family said that she insisted on being brought out because she had never witnessed anything like that in her life. And I saw a tear drop down that woman's face. I was standing right there. So,
let me
impactful.
piggyback on you because I saw some of those incidents too. There was a 90-year-old man who was on oxygen, who insisted that his son bring him oxygen bottle and all down there to witness this. He said he wanted to see this before he left this earth, that he would rest comfortably in glory, knowing that he did not leave behind a group of people that wouldn't fight back.
Yep.
There were other folks that came down. It was real funny to me because a lot of times the kids were the ones who came down to see me, but their parents were more, like, okay, good, you led me to him, move out the way. Yeah, I just want to come let you know. And I think that what's happened is there's been an awakening across the spectrum of our people. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with the NFAC. It has to do with the soul of what I call the black community. And when I say the black community, I don't just mean the particular group that you see in your lane. I mean all of us that are connected through the melanin, that feel within our spirit when the timing is right, when something is happening with us. And it's like a vibe that if you feel it, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't feel it, well, we got to question your lack of melanin. But at the end of the day, all of the melanin folks felt that, and that's what they needed to see, because they could not believe that there couldn't be those of us who wouldn't get vocal anymore beyond talking, that there still had to be a remnant of the warrior spirit within our race. And they wanted to see that before they left. And their children who've heard these old stories, most folks need to understand something. Let me say this on your show.
Okay.
Listen, you all can sit around and be judgmental and have opinions. That's your right. That's what this country's made on. But what you cannot do is you cannot point to a frame of reference of anyone that has undertaken this type of venture in the last 60 years. We're talking back in the civil rights movement. We're talking back when you had the Black Panthers and you had the Deacons of Defense and you had all these different groups. Well, a lot of young kids today hear those stories. Yes, we hear the stories. Yes, we do Black History Month. Yes, we do Kwanzaa. Yes, 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 they teach us this. Yes, they're always telling us about the great things. But we still see the poison that's left over from that era. Where is the vaccine for this era? When do we see our Stokely? Where is our Malcolm? Who's going to step to this animal? And now they're seeing it. And it's like for a lot of them, it clicks now. They understand that you had to be there.
Yeah.
You had to be in the moment. This is a great time to be alive. If you're alive right now, then that's why a lot of folks who lived through the 60s are like, seen this before. Know how this go.
Yeah.
And a lot of young cats are like, I ain't never seen nothing like this, and I'm going to say this, then I'm going to take my seat and yield the rest of my time. There's never been anything like this. They tried to compare it to things that happened prior, and it eclipsed it. There has never been this large a mobilization of black people planet-wide on one accord for the people, by the people, ever. And they've admitted to that. So because you've never seen it before, because they've never seen it before, a lot of people don't know how to respond. Some people are suspicious. Some people are downright hateful. Some people are downright afraid. Then you've got some people who are consumed with jealousy, envy, all these negative emotions that we've been socialized to do to ourselves, to hate on each other. So, but the truth is, you never seen this before. So you just can't jump behind it. I understand that, but we have a saying, we going one way or the other. We going with you or without you, but you might as well come on and go with us because we going.
Right. I think and maybe I shouldn't be disheartened or I shouldn't even be surprised about it, is because like you said, we've never seen anything like this before. So, you spoke to the young people and how they felt. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm 49 years old, and I have always lamented the fact that I wasn't around in the 60s because I always felt like my spirit belonged there. I always felt like I missed my opportunity to really make that mark. And so when my brother Malachi Luciano, shout out to him, told me, I was doing a podcast, and he kept on saying, you need to check out Grandmaster Jay. What you saying is what Grandmaster Jay is saying. You need to check out NFAC. And I'm like, okay, we were on live. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go check it out. And I went on live and checked it out. And since then, I said, I see what you're saying, and now I don't feel left behind. I don't feel like my time has passed. I feel like that this is the time to not only make change, make long-lasting and impactful change. Not saying that the strides that were gained through the 60s and up until now weren't long-lasting and impactful, but we keep having to fight those same battles. So something, you see what I'm saying? Something is amiss. We keep having to fight the exact same battles. So I feel like in a way that the problem should be a little different if you want to measure success. That's just my own opinion about it. What do you think about it?
Let me counter that.
Okay.
First of all, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If you're having the same problem over and over again, then you have not addressed the original problem. The civil rights struggle of the 60s was to get us the right to be treated as an equal human being. But they gave us that, but they did not give us what we deserved. They did not give us economic freedom. They did not give us political freedom. They did not give us the ability to determine our own destiny as a people. They gave us the right to sit next to them at a lunch counter, take a piss beside them in a toilet. I'm going to keep it 100 with you.
Yeah.
That's not freedom. That's peaceful coexistence. In the meantime, they maintained all of the wealth, maintained control of all of the laws, maintained control of housing, education. They even controlled where we could live and where we could develop. And when we got too big, they tore it down. Then they systematically started destroying our structure because they realized that if left to our own devices, the black race would have surpassed the white race in this country long ago in all forms: wealth, power, politics, entertainment. So they knew that, listen, we cannot sit back and this cannot truly be that free of a country. So the last 60 years have been spent in the shadows of the accomplishments of the civil rights movement, and they have slowly engineered ways to roll those accomplishments back. They rolled them back to the point now where they can be obvious. That, yeah, it's on the books, but. Yeah, we know you're supposed to, but. That's how they're treating us now. Yeah, we know it's wrong, but. There's a whole lot of buts, and they've done those buts by inserting certain laws that circumvent the very advantages that we achieved through the civil rights movement. That's why we're having the same problems. That's why police brutality is at an all-time high. That's why the destruction of the black family, the destruction of black civilization, the destruction of black finances, the destruction has been so complete because many of us have become agents of our own destruction. That's why it hasn't been fixed yet. And the way that it's fixed is just what Malcolm said. There's no such thing as a bloodless revolution. That don't even happen in the movies. So until we are ready to bleed and die for the right to have our equal share of what is entitled to us, until we get over the fact that you're not going to kumbaya and sign and sing and march and chant your way out of this one, they're going to sit back and look at you and say, you keep on doing that, because nothing has ever changed because of that. All that does is let us know that we got you. You're a little uncomfortable. We need to make you a little more uncomfortable, and then you'll be okay. That's not what's happening right now. So I would say, I would counter you to say that what's happening now is I'm just like you. I felt like I missed out too. I walked around for a long time like, man, I cannot believe. Here's our famous line, man, that could never happen to me.
Boy,
that's what we would always say, right?
Say it.
Well, here's my response to that. For all of you people who say, if I was alive then, I would have done all of this, you're doing right now what you would have done then. Okay, so stop it. Everybody ain't on the front line. Everybody ain't built for the battle. And we found out a lot of people want to join, but the heat and the weather and the being out there, plus the fear. I'm serious. I'm a big fan. I'm going to be famous with you all. I'm going to be honest. There are a lot of people who say that, yeah, I'm down for this. I'll sacrifice. But when they really think about it, and I've had people be honest, say, bro, I started thinking. I thought about my family. My life flashed in front of my eyes. I got scared. And I said, you know what? These brothers are really walking into death.
Right.
I'm not built like that. But
That's real.
But I'll support from a distance.
That's real, though.
I'll bake cookies and I'll make a flag and I'll pom-pom with you. And, we cool with that.
You don't play with the pom-poms, though, just because they say.
I'm not going to go there. The bottom line of the point I'm making, no, come on, seriously. The point I'm making is that it's not as easy said than done. The sentiment is there. But for a lot of people, they're finding out the opportunity has presented itself again.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do this time?
Mm-hmm.
We got much more to gain.
Yep.
We're better equipped. We're much more educated. We are. And on top of that, we know a lot more about the enemy.
A lot more. We're a lot more enemy savvy, I will say that. I think what surprises me about some of the responses that I hear in the conversations that I have with people are, I don't see how you went out there with all them people and them guns, because, I mean, anything could happen. You could have got killed or anything. Anything could happen. I'm like, but black people are being killed all the time anyway. So
Stop.
you're more afraid. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm getting. People are more comfortable with people going around illegally armed, doing whatever, than they are with black people legally armed, standing up for what's right, standing up for justice for black people.
Well, first of all, let's go ahead and let's unpack that real quick.
Okay.
In this book, Brainwashed, The Myth of Black Inferiority, Tom Burrell does an interesting job of illustrating how a lot of the mindsets that we carry today, those of us who are black, that those actually go back to practices that were systematically ingrained into our psyche for centuries of enslavement. I'll give you an example. People say, well, why do blacks kill blacks? Blacks need to stop, like other races don't kill each other. But let us take an examination of why we do. And they broke it down into 4 categories. There's young people killing people. There's family members killing each other. There's community crime whatsoever. And then, of course, there's what we call just random crime within the community. He traced each one of those back to a particular aspect of slavery. Young people were taught to devalue themselves as slaves. So therefore, their lack of a sense of pride led to a sense of self-hatred, which leads to what we call pride killing. You stepped on my shoe, how dare you? So they kill each other. Okay. The other one was what we call black on black crime, where you have disrespect, where you have a devaluing of life because, watch this, it's easier to attack each other than it was to attack the master. It's easier to attack somebody that cannot have any retribution against you than someone like the master who held your destiny in their hands. That's why we can fight and scrap in the streets until whoop, whoop, we hear the police pull up and everybody suddenly snap up and moves, the cops, right? And then the last one that I thought was most interesting was the family murders, where you have folks who kill each other in their families or girlfriends or boyfriends, whatever the hell it is. Again, it is because we are taught to devalue the family structure and roles are reversed. And again, pride killings. And it's easier to attack someone right next to you who's in the same boat as you because you don't see a way out than it is to get together to attack the master. The master is still, no matter what you call it, society now. The master is the police. The master is the boss at your job. The master is your sinister coworker that got some dirt on you. The master. You'd rather not attack them. So we see that manifested today. And as far as all those people say, you're going to get us all killed.
Right.
We're going to die anyway. And I would rather die for my people than to waste my life being alive as a coward.
Listen, scared man can never win. So there's nothing wrong with, having fear, but you still have to act. You can't be paralyzed in the fear. You can't, like the one conversation that I had with a gentleman, one of those you're gonna get killed gentlemen, is I'm saying, okay, so if we're out here and, people have been marching and praying and singing and crying and dying forever, and then here's someone with a different approach to getting a remedy to the situation and getting justice for the situation, are you saying that you would rather continue to call the police, which is in support of the police, and then complain about police brutality versus trying to see what's up with another solution? And maybe this is not your solution. Everybody, like you said, is not built. Everybody is not cut. And if you're not, then you're not. But, you have to, this show is usually about society, sex, and common sense. Not the sex part tonight, but certainly the society and common sense part. Where's the common sense in that? I don't understand.
Malcolm addressed that also. He said that if sense was common, we'd all have it.
We'd all have it.
There's no such thing as common sense. There is what we call situational awareness. There's cultural esteem. There's racial esteem. Right now, the sense that we need to understand that we are suffering from low racial esteem escapes us. Most of us have become individuals. We care nothing about our kind. We only care about ourselves and the folks in our immediate vicinity. That is something that has been destroyed within the black community. You remember back in the day when there was a time when if one of us did it, we all did it. If you had a new dance, we all learned a new dance. If you was wearing some new kicks, we all had to have new kicks. And if somebody got you wrong, they got us all wrong. Even most people don't know this, but we were more united when we came out of slavery than we are today because all we had was each other. Nowadays, we think all we got is us. We don't have each other. And I think that, when you look at these folks that are scared, folks that are comfortable in their captivity. Remember, everybody wasn't happy that slavery ended. That was, where's we going? We've got a good house here. What do you mean that you're upsetting the boat?
Right.
Well, you're not down in the fields with us. You're not getting raped and robbed and pillaged. You're not being sold like property. That's not happening to you. Because you live up there with the master. So, of course, there's going to be a demographic that's going to be afraid. There's going to be a demographic that's going to be apprehensive. But most importantly, there's also a mass part of the demographic that doesn't want to do anything in the absence of a solution, which I agree. Why would you go out and start all of this trouble unless you have some type of a plan that is going to lead us as a people out of this situation? I hate to use this example, but when Moses was trying to free the people in Egypt, I'm pretty sure that when he showed up talking about free my people, the Pharaoh didn't go, you got a plan? Can I see the plan first? Right. No, he just told them, hell no, I'm not letting nobody go and don't come back with this. And Moses had to go back and talk to God and say, look, man, is there a plan? I didn't ask you about, I just told you to go get them. I'll worry about the plan when we get out, because even he knew what we're talking about right now. All of y'all will not be able to go to where I'm taking you. I'm going to take you out of bondage, but I'm going to put you in a place where I can find out who's worthy to go to where we're going. This whole process that's starting around the world is pretty much there. Everybody raise up, but everybody who's raising up is not moving out. And that's not a put down on anybody. You just do some, like you said, do some sensual, critical thinking of who goes and who doesn't, who stays, who's comfortable here, who would like to stay. You're more than welcome. But me and mine and the rest of us, it is time for us to have the ability to say what everyone else says. If something happens to a Chinaman, China gets upset. If something happens to a Frenchman, the France gets upset. Something happens to the Swiss, Switzerland gets upset. Something happens to a black American, nobody gets upset because there's nobody to speak up for us. And most folks don't realize that black is a color. You're black. Black is not a country. So therefore, you can't get reparations because reparations are paid to a country. You can't get restitutions because restitutions are paid to a country. You can't get any type of human rights of assistance from the UN because that's done for countries. So the 45 to 50 million black folks in the United States, not counting all the melanin ones in Haiti, down in the Bahamas, all down through Guyana, all those folks, we're going to put them to the side because they was dropped off first in the Portuguese slave trade. Those ones who are here in the United States that are afraid of what we're doing don't seem to realize that the ultimate goal is not just to fight racism. It's not just to stand up to police brutality. The ultimate goal is the declaration of all 50 million of us as an ethno-nation within this nation that are political prisoners of the Atlantic slave trade and have the UN say to the United States, what are you going to do for them? If you're not going to give them a space to determine their own destiny and make amends for what you did to them for 246 years and then prior to that 400 years in the Portuguese slave trade, then you must not stop them from exiting your country to go somewhere to build their own ethno-nation. And I'm pretty sure from what I'm seeing, there's a whole bunch of us that have had enough of this, that are ready to go somewhere where we can determine our own destiny. And then as a country, we can sit at the table and say to the United States, now about that 14 trillion you owe us for reparations, you're delinquent. We need to get that.
That conversation is never had when reparations is spoken of. The fact that nationhood is required before reparations can even be paid. I mean, it's not by accident that part is not spoken of, because I mean, if you have people crying out for something and they have no way of really legitimately ever getting to that goal, you just let them continue to cry out. So that's not by accident. So for everyone who is pro reparations, and for those of you who say reparations will never happen and can never happen, you've just been given a blueprint on how we get reparations. Period. It's not going to come through, a tax refund or anything like that, a stimulus check, a Trump check, or nothing else like that. It's not going to come that way. So you just heard, and that means it's not going to come overnight. It's not going to come by next year or anything like that. So
let me
a marathon.
Let me add something to that, my sister. It's not just the money. A lot of folks have been brainwashed into thinking that reparations is money. No. True reparations for 400 years of destroying a people and destroying their culture, really you can't put a dollar sign on it.
No.
I take nothing away from the Jewish Holocaust. I take nothing away from the Japanese internments. I take nothing away from any of those actions. I think that the damage that was done to us as a people is so deep and so egregious that not only would it take a process of time, but it would also take different forms of assistance. I mean, yes, the monetary reparations should be paid, but there should also be restitution paid on a yearly basis by the United States to whatever nation is created. And then on top of that, there are certain grants and programs within the United Nations for nation building for beginning countries. We would be entitled to all of those things. And then the most important part that everyone is skipping over is that any new nation needs friends, allies. People who will defend it. That's part of the deal. In order to stand up the ethno-nation, two countries would have to agree to protect us until we could get on our feet. That means that we would get all type of aid from them. And right now, let me be happy to report that there are 55 countries that have already signed a treaty saying, you get yourself into a nation state and we will back you. That is why the United States is paying so much attention to the NFAC. That is why the Pan-African French resistance is paying so much attention to the NFAC. That's why the EFFU and the AUU and everyone else, because they see the potential seed, not just for an ethno-nation, but for a new black military force to be reckoned with, backed by 55 nations that are not exactly friendly to the United States.
Did you hear that? Not only, I don't really think people may be grasping how impactful what you just said is, because a lot of the reason why other movements were momentary is because you did not have global support. We're talking global. We're not talking regional. We're not talking national. We're talking global. Global. And when you think about, I think us in the United States, we have a tendency to think that everybody thinks the way we think about things, that everybody is aspiring to be how we are in this country, that we are the best thing since sliced bread, and that, whatever. And that's could be furthest from the truth. If you've traveled anywhere, you would know that people are very proud of where they come from. They just want their situation better. So if they can't make it better, sometimes they have to leave. What's the difference? What is the difference? And so I think that people really need to, especially the people, in the scared camp or the y'all gonna get killed camp, really need to sit down and do a deep dive. This is not whenever something, I think a lot of people have the opinion that, the NFAC is trying to be like the black Superman. Like, okay, soon as some injustice happens, dun, 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 here comes NFAC coming to the rescue. That's not, please speak to that, because people have asked me, well, how come the NFAC hasn't come here? Well, how come the NFAC hadn't come there when my brother got shot? Well, that's your brother. What did you do? That was my response, but I'm going to let you speak to that on behalf of the NFAC.
On behalf of all of my members of the NFAC that are tuned in, I salute you, NFAC for life. MFs. Y'all know that. And for all the people that have been inspired by the creation of the NFAC, whether it was the Stone Mountain Revenge Objective or the trying to get justice for Breonna Taylor initiative, which is still going on in Louisville, or any of our other endeavors that we've managed to take on, I salute all of you, including all of my partners worldwide. I salute all of you before I answer this. The NFAC is not the global police. It's not the black police. We're not the black Batman. And we're not supposed to run around and address every injustice that's ever happened. So stop. Stop with the why don't we? Because I'm going to come right back at you and say, why haven't you? We are nothing more than regular citizens who have exercised our constitutional rights to bear arms and to assemble in an organized fashion to address grievances to the powers to be. We're doing nothing that you can't do. So stop sitting around waiting for and crying for someone as if we're out looking for a challenge. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to expand the footprint and cause many of you to emulate what we've done and become the experts in your own area and then become affiliated with the coalition. That's why it's a coalition, because we know this stuff is happening everywhere. We know now that cell phones have shown us what's happening all over the country, that there's been no uptick. We're just seeing more of it. Okay. But the problem with that is a lot of the systems that have been in place that keep these things buried, like the Ahmaud Arbery case. If there was no video of that, this guy, for the life of me, I would never have released if I was involved, because of these things reaching the public, and now because of the internet and because of social media. You know, my mother used to tell me that a lie can get around the world 3 times before the truth can get its shoes on. Well, the internet can get around the world 6 times before the lie can even get out good. It's just, it's gone.
Right.
We know the lie coming. There's an announcement, lie coming. It's gone around the world 6 times. Then the lie come 3 times.
Right.
And the truth come out like by snail mail.
Right.
And everybody.
Next year.
Right. I mean, and I'm going to say this while I'm on your show. Prime example is what happened in Louisville. You know, and it's funny. And you were there, so you can attest to this. A lot of people who weren't there, and I keep saying this, don't run your mouth if you were not there.
Right.
If you was too scared to be there, shut up. If you had to work that day and you knew that you couldn't make it, shut up. If you told everybody you was going to come and shut it down, but you was instead you was mounting a flat screen TV on the wall when we call, shut up. Okay? Yes, if you were there, though, whether you participated in the formation or whether you were one of the thousands of people, because the whole city came out. See, they didn't show this.
Nope.
Louisville showed love. I have to give credit to the sisters and brothers in Louisville. The whole city came out, and it was so incredible, but they didn't want y'all to see that. When we went down the street and you couldn't see number of black soldiers
Nothing
for
but.
miles, they ain't show y'all that. When we got to the city hall and we and everybody else shut up and won't know, I don't know where they saw who these opposition was. We didn't see none. There was no opposition around us. Shut up.
Okay, look, let me tell you. I did see the opposition on the way home. Okay, so look, so like 40 minutes after everything was over, when folks was packing up, putting ARs in the trunk and everything like that, taking vests off, we were leaving, getting back on 64, and to the left on the corner, I saw like 8 white dudes and a German Shepherd. And that was all the opposition that I saw. And they was just kind of standing. But everything was over. Nobody was even lingering. No one was at the park. Everything was over. So that was it. So if that's what they were talking about, I think I saw them do an interview with them. With no one was there. So I'm not sure what opposition.
Well,
they had opposing views, but they certainly weren't present.
No. There is there's a video that's circulating right now. Excuse me for 1 second. Did you save this? It restarted. Okay, no problem. So Instagram is up.
IG.
IG is mad. Y'all know they mad. Don't worry about it. We're gonna go ahead and get it back from our folks too. Hold on a second. This is the most interrupted live stream on earth. We have more problems. Everybody else, my man can stay on and DJ for 8 hours nonstop. Not a damn thing happened. As soon as we start talking about the truth, they shut us down. Somebody working third shift got an issue.
That's how it is.
But let me say this. There's a video circulating that you can see. It's on YouTube where they show these, whoever this
Them
opposition.
8 dudes in the dog.
Well, it doesn't make us a difference. So you have to understand something. When we went to Louisville, We were the ones exercising our constitutional rights. So the city had to give us the same level of support and protection that they give when the KKK comes through. And anyone who shows up who doesn't have the permit, you're now a counter protester. There's no counter protesting for us because we're the folks that are having the event, and we let them know we're not protesters. We're not demonstrators. We don't do any of that. We are a militia. We're an armed force waiting for the order to shoot. That's what a militia really is, okay? We're going to talk about some things. If things don't work out, y'all start shooting up shit. I'm sorry, that's the way it goes. Now, but these counter-protesters that we heard about, we didn't know, we didn't care. I had already cut a deal with the Special Ops Division of the Louisville Metro Police Department to give us a 1-block buffer around our people, and that anybody who crossed that buffer was theirs, not ours. If they got through the buffer, they were ours. But if they stayed in that zone, they were theirs. And 5 people attempted to cross that buffer throughout the course of the day, and they were all arrested. They never even got to us. There's a video circulating where you can see these white militia that showed up, and they was about to come around the corner, and the cop told them, you don't want to do that. And they were like, well, why not? He said, because if you go around the corner, they're going to wipe you out in seconds.
What?
And they said, well, we're going to stay right here. They wouldn't go any further.
Okay, that's why they was on playing that corner.
Right, and then we never saw them. So I can't speak to that. And there's been all these misreported stories. I'm going to tell you what I mean. You were out there. Most people don't know this, but when we got there, the very first thing we did was clear it out. And please, I hope no one gets offended on this show, but this is just the world we live in. We cleared out all the white folks.
Sure did.
Didn't we clear them out? You couldn't even be out to there. There were no white spectators, no camera people. We said, you got to go. So the only place that there was some white folks was in the chopper, way up in the air. And they were way up there because we were looking up at them. So the ones that managed to come back, they were sitting way across the street.
It was a perimeter.
They could not even get close to us. Exactly. The second part was, and that's when we started our safety inspections. And the safety inspections were going well until it was hot. It was 94.
Hot.
Was it not hot?
It was very hot.
And with all the gear on and us standing there and all of those people, we're lucky that just one person passed out.
That's true.
And guy passed out and dropped the weapon, and the rest is history. But the media ran with that. 3 people got shot. The story got worse. First it was 3 people got shot. Then it was we got into it with somebody, and then they got shot. Then I got shot. I was in the ICU. It was crazy. Then it was, what I'm saying? Everybody was in the ICU. I'm like, for real? Come on.
Oh, whatever.
But they did all of this.
But that's going to be.
But they did this before the march even happened. Yep. They did it before we assembled. This was early in the morning. And they never talked about all the beautiful stuff that happened the rest of that day. They didn't talk about the fact that we gave an example of community policing. Watch this. Most people didn't even realize what they saw. We had the incident with the weapon. Immediately, our medics were the very first ones on the scene. Our guys took up the security perimeter and kept everybody down. Yep. The police weren't even there yet. Then we came and worked along with them. We did our own investigation and gave them the results, and they accepted it. And nobody got arrested. The incident was done. We didn't know the media was going to go and make it into a breaking news story, but that became what they pushed. They didn't give us any coverage on Stone Mountain. Nothing happened. We made history. They didn't talk about that. They didn't give us any coverage at all when we gave the speech, and the fact that the Attorney General responded to us 25 minutes after we left the State House, because he was supposed to give me a letter that he did not give me. You see, there was some other stuff that was going on. So because you didn't give me the letter, I guess I just had to get there and tell you what I knew. Okay? And after that, he came out, we talked, everything was productive. Yeah, okay, we got you, bruh. We got you. But the point I'm making is the media reported none of that. They didn't show the unity in the street. They didn't show the families coming out. They didn't show like the folks you talk about that had to come out and see this. They didn't talk about the sense of protection. Don't you know that one of the guys from Black Lives Matter that we did not invite, they just came out there. They just showed up, and we had to make them stay away from us because you're not going to associate yourself with guns. BLM ain't never bust a grape in a fruit fight. So don't try to act like we're part of what you're doing, like you suddenly got pissed off and picked up guns. No, you pick up signs and rainbows and keep it moving. Y'all been chanting no justice, no peace since 1991 with Rodney King. Okay, so no. But even then, one of them had to say, this is the first time that there's been a protest. And nobody got tear gas. And nobody got hit upside the head. And they said the reason was because Nfac was here. So it makes a difference. I think that people who don't understand, who weren't there that day, don't realize just how great a day it was. But I'm so glad to report that Vice TV and a few other major media were out there doing a documentary on us. I was mic'd up. A lot of stuff got captured.
Okay.
That's why I let them tell whatever lies they want. When the documentary come out,
right.
they'll see it from firsthand of how this whole thing played out, including the speech and the fact that when we left, how they gave us a hero send-off. And it was great. I mean, it was a great day. I was so shocked when I heard that I was in ICU.
Earlier, you spoke about it earlier as like a vaccination, and I mean that's kind of impactful. Not kind of impactful. It's impactful because I was thinking about the NFAC is almost like a vitamin injection. It's like when I didn't get to make it down to Stone Mountain, but I watch you on IG Live and I pay attention to the comments and I see what the people are saying, and then I saw the people's reactions and responses in Louisville, and it was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, we are. Oh yeah, we are these people. Oh yeah, we are. Yeah, we don't take shit. Oh yeah, we don't. Like right. We
They woke up.
They woke up.
They woke up. Yeah.
And it's very powerful because, like I said, the security part of it, and there's been, I guess, conversation, especially amongst black women, about how we no longer feel safe around black men like we used to, or we used to be able to.
Yeah.
So if I'm walking into a crowd and I see, a bunch of black dudes, why am I hesitant?
Right.
Why am I feeling afraid? Why do I feel like somebody's going to get on something? There was none of that. Right. And I'm trying to tell you, I don't know when there was a time that I can remember where I've been around that many black men, not to even mention armed, and felt just completely secure, completely safe. It was such a familial vibe. It was familial. It was familiar. It was your family.
You know what's interesting is when we were in Brunswick, Georgia, for the Ahmaud Arbery murder, and we went out with his mother to provide security for his mother to a balloon releasing. And I'll never forget, there were these two black women standing in front of me. They didn't know we were behind them. We didn't announce our presence. And his mother was speaking, so their backs were to us. And one of the little kids turned around, little boy, and he looked at me. And he looked me up and down, and he pulled on his mother. And he said, "Mama, look, the Black Army." Just like that, right? And the woman turned around, and she was like, she had that initial, oh, what's going on, afraid. And then she really looked at us. And then she turned to her girlfriend and said, "I ain't never felt this safe in my life." This was the first time I heard it, and I didn't really understand, because we're not allowed to talk. We don't talk.
Right.
We're not there for that. So when we left there and we went to Stone Mountain, it was the same thing. There were people saying, I've never felt this safe around black men in my life. But when we went out to Louisville, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm trying to be just direct with you, because I wasn't used to this, but the love that these people had, black people had for someone who was willing to stand up at last for them, was almost akin to, and I'm just using an example, when I was a young man, how they worshipped Michael Jackson. It was that bad.
I could see that.
And it was interesting because it wasn't me, it's what I represented. You could see the relief in their face.
Took the words out of my mouth.
That somebody could now at least speak to some of this mess that was going on. There was one young lady that said, "You opened the Pandora's box. There's a whole lot of stuff in here we got to deal with." Brianna was just a tip of the iceberg, but since you got it open, that's why we've entered into an agreement with the city of Louisville, with the activist groups and with the city community leaders to help them to develop their community policing model, to assist them with the patrolling of some of their neighborhoods, and to also, matter of fact, we're working on this right now. Big shout out to General Taco of the Dark Riders of LA to facilitate a truce between the gangs in that city that have really having a bad time with shootings and so forth, to bring that to an end and to get them involved in this process of unification. They're willing to come to the table. That conversation will be happening here shortly in a couple days. And this is what I mean about not just being secure around us, but brothers and sisters, as you've seen, that are willing to get in the mix and not sit back and say, well, I don't know them people, so I ain't got no reason. That's what I keep hearing. Well, you don't know those people. It's your people. We family.
Right. So let me just ask you this, because I know we're getting to that time. The question that people want to know here, A, are you accepting new members in the NFAC? B, how can a group that maybe is already started here, a community group, or how can interested, like-minded parties become an affiliate of NFAC here in this area?
But that's the $1 million question. In the beginning, it was lottie-dottie everybody. Want to join? Come on in. What we found out since then is we can't do that.
Right.
We cannot allow everybody who says they want to join because many of you cannot join because you're incapable of serving in the capacity that we need. What we've also found out is that our people have been systematically discriminated against in the law enforcement and in the judicial system. So you've been robbed of certain privileges that the uphill battle to get them back for you would not be beneficial for this organization. We have gotten people's rights restored that are felons so that they could be a part of us. We have fought some cases where folks already had their rights restored and didn't know it. They got a served document and hadn't activated it. But what we've also found out through the Stone Mountain exercise and through the Louisville exercise is that not everybody is soldier material. I'm sorry. So what we've done at this time is we've stopped taking submissions at this time.
Okay.
Because what we've done is we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to actually tighten up the screening process. Not that people were getting through. It's just that there's some things we've added to make sure that you are, and I'm going to say this again, combat ready. And I don't mean to be out here to try to rival the U.S. Armed Forces, but an armed militia of citizens that they're there for more than desire. You have to be able to bring something to the table that meets our requirements. I have no problem telling you what the base requirements are on this show.
Okay.
And some folks find them offensive.
Please
We
do.
don't care. That's the first thing. We didn't ask you to join us. You asked to join us.
Right.
Rule number 1, you have to be black, period. No ifs, and, or buts about it. No waivers, no discussions, and no nothing. This is by us, for us. We have to learn to work together with each other without having anybody else in the mix. I don't care how much they want to help, be helpful, feel the same way. That's cute. Put that in the parking lot. Malcolm said, before we can learn to love another people, we have to first learn to love ourselves. And this default self-hate that we have is the poison. That is the acid that prevents us from getting together. So this organization is an exercise in black unity. It is an exercise in being on code. It is an exercise in group economics. It is an exercise in black racial esteem. It is an exercise in the development of the foundation of a militant response to continued racism that has been systemically affecting us for almost 400 years. So that's the first requirement. And anyone who says, well, they're being racist, you can't be racist. The reason we can't be racist is because racism means the ability to determine the full outcome of a people, irregardless of what they can say or do about it. We've never had that power over anyone for the last 400 years. We're in an abusive relationship, and we don't like being abused anymore. So we're angry and we want to fight back. Doesn't make us the abuser. We're still the victims. So that's the first thing. The next requirement is 21 years and older, and it's been that way since the beginning. Don't believe the lies that, oh, they went down to Atlanta and shot an 8-year-old girl, then they arrested a teenage boy. He wasn't even a member of our organization and couldn't have been. 21 years and older, preferably ex-military. If you're ex-military, fine. If you're not, you're still going to have to go through some training with us to prove that you're tactically proficient and that you won't panic in the event of a firefight. The next one is, I'm sorry, this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but if you work for the Department of Corrections or you are a former police officer, you cannot join us.
No 12.
Anyone who's ever been a part of that organization, which is a culture. It is a culture. Yes, you may be a good person, but we cannot have you make the jump from that culture to this culture because you might have a flashback. And because we learned our lessons from COINTELPRO and Operation Black Messiah and all the lessons that J. Edgar Hoover taught us, we would not open ourselves up. There are people running around who want to hope the worst. Oh, they're infiltrated. Oh, they're a snitch. No, we're not going to let you infiltrate us, and you're a snitch. You're the agent, because if an agent is doing what I'm doing, then I have to ask an agent for who? What kind of program is this? You're going to get us all killed. Do I look like I'm trying to get y'all killed, or do I look like I'm trying to lead us to liberation? So those are the qualifications at the very outset before you even apply.
Okay.
Then once you apply, you will undergo a background check. We will verify your criminal record. We will verify that you are who you say you are. And then after that, if you have any other type of qualifications that are an asset to, then we'll talk about that at that time. If you pass through that phase, then you have to go through what we call a chapter organization, which means you have to have enough folks in your area to form a chapter.
Y'all hear that?
The minimum number is 5. The maximum number is 15.
Okay.
Once you have your chapter assembled and you provided all that information for us to go ahead and get you through the background process, and we find out that you're not someone that's actually detrimental to our organization, there's one last requirement. You can have any affiliations with any organization that we don't rock with, starting with Black Lives Matter.
Hear that? No BLM.
You can cancel that. Don't even think about us. Keep on doing what you're doing. Wave flag. Keep on singing songs. Okay? Don't come our way. We have nothing but disgust for you at this time, and I've made that public. This is nothing new. If you are a part of an organization that is sexist, if you're all for women, that's it. Don't call us, because we're all for everybody. We're black first. Everything else second. That's why you see sisters out there holding the front with us. My entire bodyguard legion is nothing but women. I don't trust men, because every great leader that we've had has been killed while in the care of black men.
That's true.
So thank you, Prince T'Challa, for giving me that idea. Now, in the meantime, the other piece to that is once you've got your chapter established, okay, you have to reach out to us, because you're not sanctioned until we swear you in.
Okay.
And you're only sworn in the heat of fire. That's why you saw us swear those people in at the formation. You have to come somewhere and show us you're willing to put your life on the line before you can wear that title. And once you've done that, you've been baptized by fire. You saw it. They all get the oath. The same way we went up Stone Mountain. Everybody was scared, sweaty, didn't know what was going to happen. I don't talk smack. They thought that people was going to come over the hill with sheets, and there they are over there. So now you can be sworn in. You've done it. Okay. Once that's happened, you are now sanctioned, and you can go back to your neighborhood and start to do the things that we impress upon as our ideals. And I keep saying that's community policing. That's in education. That's becoming a responsible fire owner. That's educating your people on rights. That's providing services for the community in case there's a situation. Policing the police is one of those, whether working with them or working against them. And most importantly, being in a position to be called up for a national mobilization like we did in Louisville. Those people came from all over the country. People like to say, oh, you're based in Atlanta. No, we are not based in Atlanta. And so stop. We just showed up in Georgia twice, because that's where the problem was.
Right.
So don't sit around and start thinking that the NFAC is there to come to, like, for instance, places where we cannot come unless you understand the implications. So by joining and starting a chapter in your area where you're familiar with your dynamics and your laws, it assists us in growing the coalition. For instance, I couldn't march the NFAC into Chicago. Right. Because the gun laws of Illinois do not allow us to even open carry. We would be fighting from the plane all the way to where you were. It would be all out war with the police if we did that. So stop asking for something that you can fix while you're there. All the guns in the hood, and y'all can't stop this. All the people there in that big city, and y'all can't put nothing together. Yes, I know they can. Chi-Town can put it together and then give us a call, and we can link with them and provide assistance, but we cannot march into their town like we did in Kentucky, which is open carry, Constitution, no permit, wild, wild west. So we can come into a place like that, but we cannot come into places like California where open carry is banned because of the Panthers. We can't come into New York City because guns are banned. We can't march into some of these places because they've already used the law to shut things down. And we've told people, you were on the steps, you heard what I told them, you have the power in your hand to change the law. Then you can have the basis for things like that. So to join, like I said, those are the qualifications. They're very basic: age, race, your affiliation with law enforcement, ex-military, and you must now, we've got some other qualifications. You must now own a certain type of weapon.
Okay.
You can't bring your granddaddy shotgun no more that you had in the back of the caddy. You know what I'm saying? The
Right.
joint that ain't been fired since 1972.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't doing that no
That's
more.
needed.
Right. We not doing that no more. And not only that, you also have to bring us proof of your last marksmanship record.
There you go.
That week. You can't. When the last time you shot? Oh, I shot last week. Let me see a sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to call it the range. And was this bruh in there? So you can't bring nobody else's stuff.
Right, nobody else's sheet.
So, you know, you can't do that no more. So that's how. So if you've already got an organization in your town and you want to align with us, reach out to us at info@blacknfac.com. Reach out to us and write out, hey, listen, this is what we've been doing. We think we align with you. Let's get in alignment. No problem. We'll reach back out to you. You know, but what we will not do is, and this has actually happened, to be honest, we will not sanction people who have their own agenda and then something happens in their city and the first thing they want to cry, I'm part of NFAC.
Right.
And we're like, no, you went out there and murdered him on your own. Right. Okay, we didn't give you no instructions. You're not even supposed to be out there doing what you was doing.
Right.
What are you doing out there? Oh, you know, I want no. Yeah. This is not blanket protection. That is not how we move forward.
Right. I mean, that's growth. And that's what I think people need to realize. The NFAC, I mean, it's grown so fast. Look, when I first started watching your videos, I think you had like, I don't know, 50, 40 something thousand followers. It's like 140 something. And this is like in some.
I actually had only 3,000.
Did you? I saw 3. I thought it was 30. So it was 3,000. Now it's 140,000 or something crazy. It's grown exponentially. And you have to tighten things up. So you have to have more regulations. You have to have steeper requirements, and you just have to. And so for the naysayers and people that are, you know, very, very critical, you'll find out if ever you venture out to try to organize anything. It's hard to control grown folks. You can have all of the stipulations and rules in place that you want to, and then there's always another element, which comes as far as, you know, freedom to do what you want to do, freedom to say what you want to say. So it's very difficult. So I want you all to, if this is not your bag, if militia, if guns scare you, if everything scares you, if black people scares you, if you don't like wearing black, if that's not your bag, whatever it is, it's not for you. And the whole purpose of this is to let people hear from you. Because it doesn't matter if I was there and I say, you know, I can't speak for the NFAC, and the things that I was hearing, I just felt like they needed to be addressed. So he just told you what to do. It's no open memberships. You baptized by fire, you got to show up, pull up. You're going to have to pull up, or if you have an organization, or if you can find 5 to 15 like-minded people that can, you know, meet the qualifications, then you may have something. And the contact information,
info@blacknfac.com.
Is there a parting word that you would like to give to our global audience, TNHS?
You know, I've said this so many times, I'm going to say it one more time, is that the time that we're living in right now, we've seen before. If you haven't learned your lessons from the past, get ready to repeat them in the worst way. The NFAC is the effort to push that back. It is a chance for us to demonstrate to each other that unity is the one thing that they've always been more afraid of than our rage. If you're truly interested in the unification of our people, if you're truly ready to change things once and for all, even if you're not ready to die, don't stand in the way of someone who is. That person might be your family member, your spouse, it might be your best friend. Just because you don't feel it, don't talk other people from trying to do something, because some people cannot sleep at night knowing they've done nothing.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. Listen, I'm here trying to provide options, solutions to what we're all facing. So, like I said, if it's not your bag, it's not your bag. You know, if you're a pom-pommer,
Before we go, I wanted to do something. That's one of the reasons that I came back on here. I know that people in this community had some questions and some concerns. I know there's some folks that are curious about joining.
Yes.
I did want to address a few of those questions. And this is in the Ohio, for the state of Ohio.
Okay.
You are in a unique position. You live in an open carry state, one of the most liberal open carry states in the country. If you're looking at forming any type of a militia, or if you're looking at standing up for your rights the way that we did with all of the issues that may be going on, just remember one thing. You're in probably one of the best situations to actually create an organization that can make an impact that will be felt around the nation. For the rest of you all who live in some of those other states, I just wanted to say this, that find out where like-minded people are, not just in your state, but in other states. We plan to have the Million 2A formation. The Million 2A Second Amendment formation. 1 million black guns in one place at one time.
Wow.
And when that happens, whether you are a student of the Most High or whether or not you still worship the slave master's church, it doesn't make a difference. What we're doing is prophecy fulfilled. It is the rising of the army of Israel. 1 million black guns in one place. The only way that comes together is if small units form and then clump together. So begin that process now, because the 1 million black guns is going to be called quicker than you think.
Yeah, well, we definitely have some soldiers here that's ready. I know my people, Mr. Rufus Johnson, he does CCW training. He's in the process of getting a all-black-owned gun range and tactical training center. So, yeah, so we definitely have people here that are ready, want to align. I already have people in place, and they're ready to go. So we have heard it from the official Grandmaster J of the NFAC, the Not Fucking Around Coalition. Not effing around, not fucking around. So sorry, Mom. That is what it is. So for those of you who have, additional questions, you've heard, he's answered just about everything that those people have asked me. He's given contact information. So I would suggest you do your due diligence. If you're really serious about it, you're going to have to pull up. And if you're really serious about starting something, you're going to have to get your folks together and get your training together, get your fitness together. Let's get our fitness together. That's important. Okay, and fitness is important. You got to have heart, but it ain't no good if your heart gonna stop every time you walk a quarter mile. So we got to get our fitness and stuff together, and me included. I'm on a journey, so we're gonna do that. That's all part of Black empowerment. So this is your girl Fast Pitch for TNHS Radio Valet Service. My brother Grandmaster J. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sister Uhuru.
The next Hot Single Radio.